The 6th of May 2025, Sundalsøra, the Kingdom of Norway. 10 minutes to 4 in the afternoon, local time. Dear Father, be healthy and wealthy, with wisdom you have from heaven, for many blessed years, in name of benevolent God. I'm addressing you in this way because I'm an orphan, and I know that your heart can find warmth for me even though you do not know me at all. It is possible that this letter will still reach you and you will be able to read it with your own eyes. So let me tell you who I am. I was born in Ukraine, in the city of Kharkiv, on the 10th of April in 1982. My mother gave me name Tanya because this name seemed to combine both families, hers and my daddy's. That was the name of my mother's older sister and my dad's mother. My parents were ordinary people who worked as ordinary engineers from university to retirement. I had a good family, but years passed, now I am alone. And because of the war in Ukraine, I live as a refugee in the Kingdom of Norway. The Lord is merciful to me, and I feel comfortable here, and my heart is full of gratitude for all the warmth that the Kingdom of Norway gives me. But my heart is in Ukraine, with the man whom my soul loves, because without him, life in the material world would be just a series of senseless battles for me, and therefore would lose its meaning. I will say now, dear Father, how I want you to feel what I feel. And you can imagine what my dad would feel if he had this letter in his hands, and at the same time the authority of a strong man as you are, as the President of the mighty state of the United States of America. This is, of course, a very strange letter for me also. And I would not have thought of writing it, but I have such a feeling that guides me through life that even a small drop in the ocean creates its power. So I turn to you for intercession, both as an ordinary person and as a daughter of Ukraine, and as a daughter of all Europe, taking upon myself this responsibility with dignity to tell what my heart feels when I see the course of events in the world. You see, dear Father, I am not a politician. By education, I'm a musician, a teacher of singing. And most of all in life, I love sincerity. And I know sincerity is needed by everyone, both in music and in politics and in business, because it is important for people to rely on each other's word. I think that this is something that is really worth defending, sparing no effort and perseverance. And I am a simple person. I do not know the details of the negotiations of the heads of states, but I saw that before the day when the soul which was in the body of Pope Francis gathered the leaders of many countries of the world for common prayer, you also had a meeting with the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Norway, Mr. Jonas Gahr Støre, in Washington. And he informed the society that the topic of Ukraine was one of the key topics during your conversation in the White House. This year, on the third anniversary of the full-scale war, Mr. Jonas was also in the city of Kiev. And when I listened to his story in the presence of the leaders of other countries about what he felt while in Ukraine, there were especially sincere words not only from the man who heads the government of the Kingdom of Norway, but also from a father and grandfather whose heart truly feels all these losses of Ukraine as his own. I believe his words in conversation with you were particularly meaningful and clear. And you were full of prudence to look at all this really like two wise men. And after that, I saw your meeting with the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Alexandrovich Zelensky, in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. And I can say that this feeling of wise dialogue between you was very important and inspiring for both the leaders of the countries and us, ordinary people. And in my opinion, wisdom has as its basis sincerity. And the path of sincerity, for me, is the path of freedom. And I am glad that the people of the United States of America, together with the people of Europe and other countries of the world, stand together with Ukraine all these years of a truly terrible war for survival, for the opportunity to breathe freely. And as I talk about sincerity, then I will be completely honest with you and tell you a strange thing, as for many who could hear it from me personally. I love Volodymyr Alexandrovich Zelensky. Although we have never met each other in our lives, in my family no one could understand this service of mine with such a feeling to him. And I realize the strangeness of such a situation, for which I could even be predicted to undergo forced treatment, because at the moment I don't even know whether Volodymyr Alexandrovich even knows about my existence or not. But that's not the point, because the danger of being judged by other people could scare me if I were to cause harm to others with these feelings of mine. I know that you will agree with me that everyone always has the right to love another person. You might ask me how platonic this service is. Of course, it is feeling that lives in my imagination. But I think you will agree that building any serious relationship, whether business or family, begins with looking into each other's soul. I am now 43 years old, and I have been following Volodya's earthly path since he took office of President of Ukraine. Before that, I did not pay attention to him at all, although he was a famous person. But from the very first day of his inauguration, I imagined how difficult it could have been for him to explain to everyone his attitude to his own duties as head of state. I'm writing all this so that you can look at him through my eyes and feel how I feel, and I am writing this letter. I'm writing this letter now. And so I looked at the details of his character with all my concentration, and I was finally convinced that he has everything that my soul needs to feel like a woman. I would make an idol of him, but I want to help him someone to be someone who, together with other world leaders at his level, truly contribute to the well-being of the entire society of planet Earth. This is precisely what motivates me to write this letter, because, in my opinion, true security begins with decency. I look into his heart with my womanly eyes, and I find there a desire to see other people happy. And I know that by looking at him the way I look into his heart, you will find in your heart a resonance with the melody of his soul. I believe this is what unites true leaders throughout times. And now I will allow myself to recall that meeting in the Oval Office, the news of which flew around the world and which raised many questions among both politicians and ordinary people such as me. You see, if you suddenly looked at my Facebook page, you would also see many blatant things there that were addressed to you in some of my publications. I love the truth, and therefore I am not afraid to speak it personally before the eyes of the universe. But, dear Father, if you could imagine that I would have my arm and leg amputated without anesthesia, as Putin has been trying to cause trouble to all of us, the sons and daughters of Ukraine, for so many years in a row, and also with all efforts to present incorrect facts about the situation in Ukraine to you, with the only aim to make you complicit in the torture of Ukraine that the Kremlin provided towards us, then you would understand exactly the whole nature of this cry of my soul when there was unbearable pain. Both I and Volodymyr Alexandrovich Zelensky are children of the people of Ukraine. But on his shoulders is also the responsibility for all of us. And I feel that he definitely wanted to talk to you there in the Oval Office as sincerely as I am speaking now, but he did not have this opportunity in front of all the television cameras because of all the duties and responsibilities of the leader of the country that he leads during the existential war for the people of Ukraine that the Kremlin unleashed. I heard Volodya's stories about the family in which he was raised and what principles of life his parents instilled in him. And I read the words of his father, and he is the sincere teacher by passion and profession. That is why I am sure that Volodymyr Alexandrovich definitely has a prudent attitude towards the intercessory opinion of people older than him, and he always listens to wise advice. And therefore, he really needs your support in the world ocean of various events. You see, dear Father, it was especially difficult for Volodya at that time because there is such a strong sense of alertness among millions of ordinary people like me that live in Ukraine, who go to sleep every day not knowing whether Russian, Iranian, or North Korean drone would hit their building at night. Dear Father, all these enemy drones are hitting communities throughout Ukraine every day and every night. but we are holding together, despite all these many years of trials, because we have a living faith that the Almighty hears our pure hearts, which want peace and freedom, to live decently and wisely on the land, which by God's grace is the homeland of the people of Ukraine for centuries. And this faith helps us to live, to work wherever we are. For some, it is work with constant risk in conditions of real combat. And to know that help will come in time. And I could, from my position of common woman, having listened and read the news, draw some conclusions. But I know that this is why people elect leaders of countries, so that you can agree among yourselves for the good of all humanity. And as for me, I can say that for many years I have been making efforts on my small, invisible level to ensure that all people around me are wise enough to avoid harming each other and committing robbery. And I could have remained in the rose-colored glasses of my confidence that everyone is ready to be human, but the war that Putin has started against the people of Ukraine has dispelled my illusions. And I realized that in such cases, force can only be stopped by force. I am not writing this in a way to emphasize the manifestation of bloodlust, but de facto, the actions of the Russian army deserve a hard knockout to stop all these losses of life, time, and territories on which life should be revived. Bread should grow, which is so needed by many countries in the world. I understand that you could have heard something about Ukraine from someone, but let me tell you about our, with Volodymyr Alexandrovich, homeland, and describe the spirit of the people of Ukraine that he and I have in our souls. I will tell you about Ukraine in the words of Ukrainian poet Lina Vasilyevna Kostenko. This poem can be called the credo of the sons and daughters of Ukraine. In Ukrainian, this poem has rhymes, but I will write a literal translation so that you can feel the deep essence of each stanza. And it is true, winged creatures don't need ground. If there is no earth, then there will be heaven. If there is no field, then there will be freedom. And if there is no field, then there will be freedom. If there is no beloved person, then there will be soaring among the clouds. This is probably the truth about the life of birds. And what about humans? What about humans? A person lives on the ground. He or she, they don't fly themselves, but they have wings. They have wings. Those wings are not made of down or feathers, but of truth, virtue, and trust. Some have these wings due to dignity in love. Some have these wings due to sincere striving to find answers to eternal questions. Some have these wings due to sincerity in work. Some have these wings due to generosity in wish to take care of others. Some have these wings due to song or hope, or due to poetry and dreams. A person supposedly does not fly, but a person has these wings. They have these wings. You know, when children put paper to a coin and then draw with pencil on it the images that are on the metal appear on the paper. So these principles of stability, which were built over the centuries through various kinds of trials, these principles of endurance were built in the genetic code of the people of Ukraine. These axioms of our existence in the world appear in the souls of the sons and daughters of Ukraine through the ages. You may say, are these principles of endurance inherent only to people of Ukraine? And I will agree with you, of course, because all the people of the earth in different ages had their own tests of strength and unity. But it has so happened in the history of mankind that the people of Ukraine constantly had to be at a historical crossroads. And this is an extremely responsible task, dear Father. As I understand it with my heart of a simple woman. And when I called myself the daughter of Europe, I understand that only a simple person like me can speak to you from such a position, because this letter is not about whining, but about compassion for the children of God, who truly honor God's name with moral actions. And you, with your life experience and real weight in the world, are that soul among all of us billions who lived on planet Earth right now, who can inspire with your own example of power to act for the highest ideals of integrity. People in Europe with hearts like mine especially need such confidence that the Almighty will show mercy and put an end to the atrocities of those rulers of countries like Putin and his accomplices, who through robbery and intimidation and all kinds of blackmail have tried to sow disbelief in God's intercession in the souls of people. Your support as the President of the United States of America and the man to whom the people of the United States entrusted their destiny is now especially important for the people of Ukraine in these days of war for our right to be ourselves. I say exactly as my feminine heart feels, because all people in the world, not only in Europe, and especially the leaders of countries, at a crucial moment in the history of mankind, must have enough, first of all, spiritual forces to fully manifest the will and stand up for the virtues of human life, feeling within themselves the true call of the highest light forces. And you, Understand, dear father, I do not know the details of my future, but I know that with this letter I want to help you feel how truly wise and reliable, and as a business partner, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Alexandrovich Zelensky, is. And I will conclude this very long letter with what I began with. I wish you spiritual and physical health, to pass your life experience to the circle of new generation of statesmen, for the sake of good relations in the society of the United States of America, and for the sake of life-giving harmony on the entire planet Earth. With sincere gratitude for your attention to my heart, Tanya Anatolievna Gamgiia. Thank you very much.